Welcome to Talking Politics. I am Paul Gable. I'm here with my good friend and co-host John Bond Sr. And today at the New China Buffet in Highway 17 in Surfside, we're welcoming Jonny McCoy, a local attorney, and also he has a lot of perspective on the local politics and on the heroin crisis that we have going on.
And my good friend.
And
my
John's
good friend, Jonny.
And that's not something that you give away lightly. That's
right, Jonny. You got it, man.
An
You
award
got
that
it.
I had to get pinned early
What a
on.
man that Jonny man is. Okay, but anyway, go ahead. Let's go.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. We're here with Jonny McCoy, and Jonny, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for
Appreciate
coming.
it, Paul. Thank you. No problem. Of course. Anytime that we can educate and enlighten some of the people who are sitting at home wondering what's going on in our city, other than what they see in the news, which, by the way, is controversial these days, except for your site.
Thank you.
You know, I think it's important. I think it's impactful, and media is the way to get it out there. In particular, formats like this, open formats.
Well, you're a local criminal defense attorney, right?
We call it. I'm a local attorney. I do criminal defense work. Also, I do civil rights, plaintiffs, personal injury, car wrecks, and those things. But yes, criminal is where I've made my name in the courtroom due to having tried a number of cases.
And you have a perspective that I thought was interesting. We were talking about before we started, talking about the Myrtle Beach city election, issues on the Myrtle Beach city election.
Right.
And then we'll go from there. So,
well, you know, I think what's always interesting is when you talk about the city election, the first question that was ever asked was, at any of the debates, was, how do you feel about public safety? Public safety, it was brought up. I mean, I think it was one candidate's only platform and talking point.
You're talking about Mark.
Well, you know, you could talk about Mark. I'm just talking about what people were saying over and over again, public safety, and that was the first question at almost every single debate. And I live it, I breathe it, I see it every single day. You may think as a criminal defense attorney it's my job to get people out of crimes that they commit, but at the same time the Constitution says, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty. So from my vantage point, making sure that everybody has a fair right to fair trial is the most important thing.
And that's let's stress that a second. I don't think you happen to get people off of crimes. Maybe you do sometimes, but you know, I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I believe that it's much better to let 100 guilty men go free than to convict one innocent man.
Abraham Lincoln. And I appreciate the quote, and I really do. I like that you use that because I use it a lot. Because people always say, how do you defend? And I was actually falsely arrested one time, well, the only time, and prosecuted for about 4 years. Hidden surveillance video proved my innocence. My cellmate hung himself in front of me, so there's a big lawsuit. And then I quit practicing insurance defense for AIG and Travelers and opened up my own criminal defense firm. So when people sit across from me at the table, I don't view them as just a client. I view them as myself. I remember telling my lawyer, hey, I didn't do this. And my lawyer would be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, let's try to get you a plea. And I'm going, you absolutely.
But lawyers hear so many stories that are not true.
Yes, that's correct.
Everybody thinks they're not innocent. And then if you try the case and you lose, they say, oh, I had a lousy lawyer. They weren't good.
That's right.
I could have done a better job. So that happens all the time. But we're going back to the politics of the matter. You know, there was 749 bullet votes. 749 bullet votes. Now, isn't that ghastly? Isn't that mind-boggling? You're supposed to vote for 3 of the candidates. And people were urged to go into the booth to vote for just 1 of the 3.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of fairness is that?
Well,
What
wait a minute. Maybe they weren't urged to do that, John.
Oh, yes, they were.
Maybe they felt that they only had one candidate worth voting for.
There you go. Yeah.
I didn't hear the urging. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't hear the urging.
Well, that's because we're not grossly involved. Were you
I'm
grossly involved in the campaign? I was grossly involved in the campaign.
I can
and I'm not talking out of my head or out of your head or someone else's head. That actually happened.
Let him talk.
I can tell you, I knew that Vereen was going to be the front runner in this, and people told me I was crazy from the beginning. I talked to several people running, and some of them I graduated high school with, and one of them won, and I was happy about it because I know him as a moral person, not necessarily just his politics. But Vereen was, if you didn't know that Vereen was going to win, you haven't been paying attention to politics in Myrtle Beach in these past few elections. I mean, she barely lost to Wayne Gray. Her base is going to see her again. Those people, they proved two things. One, they showed up to vote, and two, they showed up to vote for her. So guess what? She was going to win. Now, you want to vote. You want to vote for her and not make sure that your other guy. Let's say you do love Vereen. You can throw your vote for her and make sure she gets her vote. But if you miss out on a Greg Smith or something like that.
Yeah, but answer the question. What about bullet votes?
I don't have a problem.
What can we? You don't have a problem with bullet votes. You have 3 candidates running. They're only voting for one. Is that fair?
I don't have a problem.
Is that fair for the other 2?
Yeah, it is.
I have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem.
I do.
I don't have a problem with it.
And it's not good government when you do that.
Let me explain something. Ensuring that there's one good council member. The only thing.
How do you know?
The only thing that's
you don't know because it's only done by bullet.
That's the point. You know, if you know one to be a good person, of good character and moral, that you think.
You say there's only one. The other 2 are not worthy of it. You think the other 2 are not worthy of it?
I'm saying I only knew of one.
Okay,
hold that thought.
do you think that the
John,
other 2?
Hold that thought. We got to take a break.
Oh, we're now getting rolling.
We'll be back, and I'm glad we're into a spirited conversation.
Come on,
we'll be back in a moment.
All right.
My name is Angelo Antonucci, and I'd like to welcome you to my restaurant. I've been in Myrtle Beach now for over 30 years, and we are the home of the greatest steaks in the universe. Here at Angelo's, we have a fantastic Italian buffet with your favorite pastas served with meatballs and sausage and delicious gourmet pizzas. But where we really shine is our entrees like our scampi traditional, Alfredo or lemon romano served over linguine, our French pork chops with garlic mashed potatoes, and our twin fillets featuring our signature marsala sauce. It's a great place to enjoy with family and friends, so stop by and see us at our new location at the corner of 24th Avenue South and South Kings Highway. Don't just take my word for it. Come in and try Angelo's, home of the greatest steaks in the universe.
Here at Angelo's. At Surfside Cafe and Creamery, we pride ourselves on serving you the best there is. Our breakfast and lunch menus feature Boar's Head products. And how about starting your day with one of our signature coffee blends from Charleston Coffee Roasters? Surfside Cafe and Creamery has something for every taste, including the best ice cream on the Grand Strand. You gotta taste it to believe it. Surfside Cafe and Creamery, 1611 Highway 17, Surfside Beach.
Welcome back, and we had a spirited discussion on bullet votes, and John says there's no fairness in
That's correct.
voting only for
Absolutely.
one when
That's
you're
right.
supposed to vote, when you can vote for 3. And I'll tell you something, I got the answer to that problem in Myrtle Beach, and it's something that they haven't wanted to hear at the council level, including
I want to hear it. The people out there want to hear it. Go ahead, tell us.
Single-member districts.
Well,
what's your response to that?
that's what they do up in North Myrtle Beach, and maybe they should be addressing that. I think John Rhodes mentioned that during the campaign.
John Rhodes conveniently mentioned that in the last 2 weeks.
Well, whatever, he
but
did
we
mention
haven't heard from him in 12
But he did
years.
mention, okay, but he did mention it. You did mention it. He must have done some other things in the 12
But
years
John,
that were worthy.
we got
I'm sure.
we got one
but we're not
problem
talking
here.
about it. He's already gone. He's dust.
We
He's
got
finished.
one problem here.
We have now Bethune.
We got Johnny here as the guest, and we're monopolizing the time, and that's not fair.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
No, it's
what are you
fine.
talking about?
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
He's addressing these issues. What are you talking about?
It's fine. But let's, from my point of view, I've actually spoken in front of council. I represented the bingo halls when they were getting closed down. I had to face city council when some members of city council told me, "Don't even speak. We've already voted. You can't be heard." that happened on 3 occasions.
I remember that
I
one of
was
those.
the lawyer for the
Yeah.
bingo halls,
Right.
and I've been a lawyer for several different restaurants and bars over there on the Super Block, and I've represented them during their licensing procedures. So I know what it's like to stand in front of these people, and I know what it's like to have one person on your side and one person vehemently against you. And it's incredibly important to have one person on your side, or at least someone who is open to hear you speak. And it is that important to me to make sure that person's on council. Now, let's say, for instance, I believe Greg Smith was that person for me, but I also like Randall Wallace, because I do. He worked for my dad at Pirates Voyage. If I would have voted for Greg and Randall might have jumped Greg. If that would have been
there you go.
If that would have been the
there you
mindset.
go. That's the point.
But it was more important
but
for
they
me to have Greg
Could
on
they have
there.
voted for Greg and for Randall at the same time? They could.
You could have, but then you risk.
They couldn't have voted for either one if they bullet voted for Randall or the other one. Is that correct?
You risk losing.
You're not answering the question. Is that correct?
It's correct, but you risk losing your starting quarterback. I mean, it's like you're building a depth chart. This is my favorite.
You're making an assumption that's not always
correct. So you're telling me that you don't have a person that you were like, I want this one the most, this one the second most, this one the third most.
I believe in the democratic way and the fairness.
I'm asking you.
The fairness way is to vote for 3.
I answered you yes or no.
There were 3. Yeah, the 3 people.
Did you have somebody who you were favorite, second, and third?
Yes.
You did. Okay. So you would have been.
I had 3, 1, 2, and 3. I would have voted. I voted for all 3.
Now, what if my question to you was, you
better not have voted.
You can vote for. You can vote for.
Yeah.
You can
You
vote
don't live in the city.
My daughter does. My son-in-law does. That's considered my vote. What are you trying to do here? He's asking me how I would vote. Okay, I'm answering his question.
Lawyer, I'd like to.
I'm answering his question.
What if your option?
I'm the president of Save Our Cats. I urge people. I urge people.
We were not supposed to mention cats today.
I just have one question.
Well, you brought it up.
Go ahead.
The one
Johnny's got a
question is this: if you have one person who you wanted to be on council,
oh, Johnny, there we go.
One person that you wanted to be on council versus 2 other people who you just kind of wanted to be on council, who would you choose? The one definite that you really love, or the 2 people who, I think they deserve to be on there? You only had one choose.
I would vote for all 3.
No, you can't.
But I wanted.
That wasn't an option.
I would have voted for the person I like plus the other 2, but because that's fair.
Well, see,
I'm talking about fairness. You're talking about the Constitution.
Fairness and politics do not collide.
Oh,
in the same
I don't know
sentence.
about that. Oh my God! The people are listening to you out there. The people
they're buying it. Are you kidding? The
you
people
may
are
be running for office in the future. I think you will be.
It's exactly right because it's.
So if you're running with 3 other candidates, you're saying just vote for me. Is that it?
No,
you don't care about your running mates. Is that it?
That's why divorce is so popular in this country. I do not want to be the head of a household that doesn't love me. If they do not want to vote for me, then I don't want to be their. Then I don't want to be their candidate. I'm not in this for the stars.
Let me jump in. We got to take a break.
Who said you were?
I
didn't say you were. I'm talking about the fairness of election, not stars.
The fairness of election in Myrtle Beach would be single-member district.
Well,
that's what they don't have that at the moment.
But it's time they got it.
But unfortunately, every time we're ready getting going, I'm going to have more mojo. We have to stop.
On that note, we have to take another break. We'll be back in a moment.
At Surfside Cafe and Creamery, we pride ourselves on serving you the best there is. Our breakfast and lunch menus feature Boar's Head products. And how about starting your day with one of our signature coffee blends from Charleston Coffee Roasters? Surfside Cafe and Creamery has something for every taste, including the best ice cream on the Grand Strand. You gotta taste it to believe it. Surfside Cafe and Creamery, 1611 Highway 17, Surfside Beach.
My name is Angelo Antonucci, and I'd like to welcome you to my restaurant. I've been in Myrtle Beach now for over 30 years, and we are the home of the greatest steaks in the universe. Here at Angelo's, we have a fantastic Italian buffet with your favorite pastas served with meatballs and sausage and delicious gourmet pizzas. But where we really shine is our entrees like our Scampi Traditional, Alfredo or Lemon Romano served over linguine, our French pork chops with garlic mashed potatoes, and our twin fillets featuring our signature Marsala sauce. It's a great place to enjoy with family and friends, so stop by and see us at our new location at the corner of 24th Avenue South and South Kings Highway. Don't just take my word for it. Come in and try Angelo's, home of the greatest steaks in the universe.
Here at Angelo's. Located at 1300 Highway 544 near Coastal Carolina University, Soho 544 is an area's favorite for sushi, hibachi, American and Asian fusion cuisine. Soho 544 also offers daily happy hour special for only $5, as well as some of the lowest beer and liquor prices along the Grand Strand. So don't wait, come and join us. Soho 544 also caters to large parties and special events.
Welcome back. We're here with Johnny, and we've just gone through a very interesting discussion about the Myrtle Beach city election and single-member districts. But let's go to something else in your purview.
Right.
Well, let's talk about what you think. You know, you were talking about everybody talking about public safety. You were saying that it's really a drug problem.
Yeah.
And what we got to do there.
Listen, I sit across the desk from people who tell me the honest truth because I'm their lawyer. Now, I'm not spilling any confidential secrets here, but I do ask as a son of an addict and as somebody who's also been arrested, I ask them, you know, how'd you get your start and this, that, and the other. This isn't for the case purposes. This is for my purposes because I actually do love my city and care. These people are not burglarizing houses because they want a new TV set. These people are not. The saddest thing I've seen so far in a news thing of after the election was 3 prostitutes arrested on the South End. One of them requested $20 and a trip to McDonald's. Now, we might laugh at that, and we might say, oh, McDonald's, that's kind of funny. But if you really think about that, that's how sick, these people are addicted. So we can do one of two things. We have a polio outbreak. Do we hire more doctors, or do we invest in a cure? And what they did was they invested in a cure. Yes, we have to hire more doctors, i.e. cops in this situation, but what we need to do is find a cure, and the cure lies with the at-risk youth. It's not hard to find the at-risk youth. So what do? The Boys and Girls Club, you can walk in any classroom in America. Any teacher in America will tell you, this kid right here is this kid right here is at risk. This kid right here, I'm worried about him. I went over to the Boys and Girls Club, and I used to mentor over there, and they stuck me straight to this kid whose brother had just committed suicide. And they wanted to make sure that, that I honed in on his mental disability, and I made sure that he was comfortable and felt loved. It's the same thing with the heroin crisis. If you have an at-risk youth whose father was just sent to prison for selling drugs, those are the kids you need to hone in on. If you have an at-risk youth who continuously gets opioids prescribed to them, those are the kids we need to hone in on. So instead of wanting 100 new officers and $10 million for this, that, and the other, where's our facility in Myrtle Beach for these at-risk youth? You can cure this thing. We can stop it. The only way that it's really, really, really going to get some ground is when it reaches the Dunes Club in the north end of Myrtle Beach, when it reaches Myrtle Beach High School. And I can tell you right now, when you come into my office and you sit across and you hear people tell the honest to God truth, it's already in the high school, and it's on its way up north end. And I'm going to tell you right now, as soon as it does, that's when we're going to start finding
so what is the solution?
That's the sad truth.
What is the solution? What is the solution? More counselors or more police?
No. First of all,
well, let me know. What do you think of? Because I would hire you immediately, because if I had someone out there that was a friend of mine that was in trouble with respect to drugs, I'd go to you, because of what I'm just hearing now.
Appreciate that, John.
What I'm just hearing now is exactly what I am for, 100%. Someone like you counseling them, being involved with them. There's a caveat to your arrest. You were arrested, and unfortunately for the police that arrested you, they had to pay
and there was a camera.
They had to pay a big price for doing that. And what's scary about it, your friend hung himself on the very same thing.
But anyway, that was not my friend, but he was in there.
Oh, wasn't your friend?
No, my friend was in there with me.
Your friend was, but he wasn't the one that hung himself?
No, the guy
but someone else. Okay, but anyway, I'm deviating from what you're saying. It's very important what you're saying. Again, the question: police or counselors?
I think it's a little bit of police. If these police officers, where were they during the election? Does anybody in any company, I don't care where it is, want 100 new employees to be hired? Want a dozen? No, they want. Let's look at the Green Berets, for instance, or the Army Rangers. How many did it take to take down Osama bin Laden? 7. It took 7 quality Army Rangers to do the job.
No, actually, with all due respect, that was Navy SEALs.
Okay, Navy SEAls. I apologize. You're right. SEAL Team 6. I apologize.
And I was in the Navy.
You're right. I apologize. But it's the same concept.
What difference does it make? They took him down.
It's the same concept. If we invested in more training and we invested in a little bit more of what police officers need, which is state-of-the-art equipment and things like that. I mean, you got to remember, in Bubba's video, a police officer's car was shot. People are saying we need more officers to do what? Stand there and get shot? I mean, these crimes are going to break out no matter what. And it's because these people who are committing these crimes are living in an alternate reality. A lot of people who do not understand what's going on around them with this crime rate and whatnot don't understand that addiction takes you to a place where you don't care about your consequences. So the only way that we are going to stop this crime problem is if we can find some way to slow the heroin crisis and the opioid crisis, because these people don't care about their consequences. They care about getting their next fix.
Is it too easy to get to buy it?
Hang on.
Oh, yeah,
Hold that thought. We're going to slow you down because we're due for a break.
I didn't
We'll
say
be
a
back.
word.
We'll be back in
I
a
said
moment.
nothing during this segment because it was very interesting, and I heard and I learned something from the eminent attorney here.
I appreciate the word eminent.
Johnny McCoy.
Appreciate the word eminent. I appreciate
Okay.
Here at Angelo's, we have a fantastic Italian buffet with your favorite pastas served with meatballs and sausage and delicious gourmet pizzas. But where we really shine is our entrees like our scampi traditional, Alfredo or lemon romano served over linguine, our French pork chops with garlic mashed potatoes, and our twin fillets featuring our signature marsala sauce. It's a great place to enjoy with family and friends, so stop by and see us at our new location at the corner of 24th Avenue South and South Kings Highway. Don't just take my word for it. Come in and try Angelo's, home of the greatest steaks in the universe.
Here at Angelo's. At Surfside Cafe and Creamery, we pride ourselves on serving you the best there is. Our breakfast and lunch menus feature Boar's Head products. And how about starting your day with one of our signature coffee blends from Charleston Coffee Roasters? Surfside Cafe and Creamery has something for every taste, including the best ice cream on the Grand Strand. You gotta taste it to believe it. Surfside Cafe and Creamery, 1611 Highway 17, Surfside Beach.
Welcome back. We're going into our final segment here. I want to ask you something, Johnny, about what you were talking about. We don't need a lot of new police officers and what have you. And I agree with you. Are we policing wrong, though? And I know this isn't necessarily right in your area of expertise, but would we do better, especially with what you're talking about, mentoring and what have you, if we had teams or if we had localities that officers were assigned to so they got known in there and what have you, and we had more of what's called community policing, or do you think that's all wet?
You're talking about the concept of a peace officer to protect and serve. I mean, that's what when I grew up in the 80s, I got picked up riding down the road and the officer would say, do you need a ride home? Can you imagine that right now if a police officer asked a 12-year-old kid if they needed a ride home? It's absolutely obsolete. We have gone too far away from peace officer, and we are here to protect and serve you too. And it's not necessarily the police officer's fault. It's not necessarily anybody's fault other than the system that has been put in place. It's because of trials like O.J. Simpson's trial, which was a very important trial, I think, no matter the verdict to our judicial system's history. It's because of the John Bonet's issues. It's because of those things on camera where people are saying, "Gosh, is this just bad policing?" And it's kind of developed this dialogue between community people that are like, "Should we really trust them?" It's the conspiracy theorist thing that's starting up now. Are they for me or are they against me? It used to be every time you see a police officer, you run into their arms and hug them. But now it's gotten to the point where these officers are almost trained because of the opioid crisis, because of the addiction. When they run into your arms and hug you, pat them down on a Terry frisk real quick and see if you feel anything in their pockets.
Yeah,
I mean, that's truly the way people feel. And it's not necessarily the police officer's fault, because what are they supposed to do? This is one thing that I want to say. In every single profession, you get Tammy telling on Liz or John telling on Paul. He was being bad to the customer, or she was taking money out of the cash register drawer. I have never, ever in my years on this planet, let alone being an attorney, seen a police officer stand up and say, "Hey, I saw this being wrong." And until we see somebody stand up and say, in a blue uniform and say, look, I hate to do it, but it's the right thing to do, and I'm turning in my own my own peace officer for this. I think when you start to see that change, police policing each other, instead of civil rights lawyers like myself having to come forward and file lawsuits and people talk about money and things like that, that's not what it's about.
You think someday it'll happen?
That's why I'm here.
Let me say one thing.
Persico? What happened there?
Do you remember the guy, Serpico, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
tried to kill him.
Exactly. I mean, they tried to kill the girl from Afghanistan, Halliburton, for saying that she was raped and thrown in a container for 15 days. That poor girl. And this is just the mentality that you have. But it's they call it a brotherhood or a sisterhood or the blue wall. And I fought the blue wall.
Yeah, but sometimes the police are frustrated as well when you have sanctuary cities and so forth. They can't do their job. They're not being reported when they're coming out of jail. The sanctuary city don't inform ICE. They're out in the street again. So there's a lot of problems that have to be addressed in society. But the problems right here, we have to address them right here.
Okay.
But you've come up with some good solutions, I think, that are merited and they should be used.
From a City of Myrtle Beach, solely City of Myrtle Beach perspective.
Well, we go to North Myrtle Beach as well.
Okay, North Myrtle Beach. Well, everybody's talking about the crime in City of Myrtle Beach like in Chicago. I'm telling you, I practiced criminal law here for what, 3 different mayor terms, and it hasn't increased. And I'm one of the ones that.
Well, the population has increased as well.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is society's way of being told information about crimes and seeing like Bubba's video and things like that. That has polarized a few isolated incidents in Myrtle Beach. I really don't think that. I mean, when's the last time that you heard about a break-in and a mother of 2 getting shot and killed in the city of Myrtle Beach? You hear it every day in Chicago. You hear it every day in New York. You hear it 15 times a day in L.A. But Myrtle Beach is the #1 crime-ridden city in America. We don't have that big of a crime problem. We have a drug and addiction problem. These people are breaking into houses, they're robbing people, and they're prostituting themselves to feed their addiction. If we can tackle that first and foremost, then maybe we can start to make a change in this area.
And that's very well put. And again, going back to what I said about community policing, I'd like to hear more police officers saying that.
Exactly.
And they would if they knew what the areas that they were policing.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And we do have in the city of Myrtle Beach, we do have task force dedicated directly to drugs and directly to you have some directly to drugs, some to street crimes, and this, that, and the other. But I'm not sure with the task force that are directed at the drugs that going to the $30 motels on the boulevard and picking up the prostitute for having a little thing of crack because she feels like she wants to die. These people want to die or live in an alternate world.
Well, we try to bring the issues to the forefront. We had Jimmy Richardson here talking about opioids. We had Sheriff Thompson here talking about it. We had Tom Fox, the deputy, or the
all
chief.
Good people.
All of them. They're all members of the Community Law Enforcement Appreciation Committee, which is connecting cops, kids, and community. The essence of that is exactly what you're saying. But how do we help that girl?
I want to say something.
How do we help that prostitute?
I want to say something controversial since you just brought up that you've only had police officers on the show or solicitors. Is it in the best interest to eradicate drugs from our society from a government standpoint? What happens when you seize $250,000 from a drug dealer? Where does that money go?
It goes to the police department.
That's right.
And seized it, or the agency that seized it.
And they use it to further either more equipment, more officers. And I'm not saying that it's actually.
No, you say you want to be controversial. Say it. Spit it out. Let's hear it.
I'm raising a thought-provoking opinion. Is it in the best interest of the government to eradicate drugs? Is it in the best interest of the police department? How? You'd lose your job. You're a DEU officer. You're a DEA officer. Drugs are gone. They're out of this world. Where's he going to work?
It's never going to be eliminated.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
You're always going to have residual. You're going to have a residual.
You're right. It is self-perpetuating.
It's,
you have to stop.
It's a force against it.
You have to
always
stop
need it. It's a force against it.
You
Even
have
if
to
it's
stop the
eliminated,
quotas. You have to
still
stop,
need it.
You have to stop the praising of the high-level drug bust.
Well, then tell me about the prostitute that you just talked about. She wanted a McDonald's and $20.
I don't know anything about her other than.
But no, how are you going to help her?
These are the type of people. It's easy. We need a facility
it's
in
easy
our
to help
city.
her?
Yes, of course it is. We need a facility. My mother is 18 years sober this February. And the reason why is because she had a facility to go to, and they stuck her, and we stuck with it. The solicitor's office has a great program, drug court intervention. I've got 5 clients who have been clean and sober. 3 of them were facing 25 years or more. You go into a program, you have a sponsor, and you have the correcting mentors and things like that. And you know, there is a solution, but it's you got to invest in compassion of people.
Is it methadone?
No, it's
clinics?
not methadone clinics.
Should they go there? Is that one of the helpful?
No, that's just an alternative, and who's getting the money
it's an
from the
alternative.
methadone clinic?
That's one.
Question.
We can send that prostitute there.
I want to see a facility in Myrtle Beach that says, like a compassion care facility in Myrtle Beach.
Don't you want it on the Grand Strand? You want it in Surfside?
I want it
all over.
I want it all through. When I say
we don't want to let the county out.
When I say Myrtle Beach, I mean all.
We don't want to let the county off the hook.
It's in Aner, it's in Carolina Forest, it's in Surfside, it's all the way through North Myrtle Beach.
Okay, that's better.
All right, well, look, it's time for us to shut this. And John, thank you very much for coming.
But we need your back.
And I would like to say one thing. We're asking for that kind of facility in an area that's allowed its spouse abuse home to close down. I'm not sure we have the right mentality, but that's for another time, and we'll have you back to talk about that.
I can talk about
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, John Bonsinger, save our cat.
Oh, there you go.
That's it from New China
That was a
Restaurant
no-no,
today.
you know.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.